All right, when's the last time you walked into a sales call and absolutely knew you were the smartest person in the room? Not because you're arrogant, but because you understood something 90% of your competition doesn't: proper duct design. Let me tell you about last week when I turned a simple $8,000 equipment quote into $15,000 complete system solution, beating out 3 competitors who were just selling boxes. AC Pros, today we're diving into the one skill that can transform you from just another quote giver into a trusted advisor who commands premium prices. In the next 8 minutes, I'm gonna show you exactly how understanding duct design can skyrocket your sales confidence and close rates. And trust me, I've been where you are, stumbling through technical questions and watching customers' eyes glaze over when I couldn't explain the why behind my recommendations. Let's face reality, our industry has a problem. While everyone's busy competing on price, homeowners are getting smarter. They can Google equipment prices in 30 seconds flat. But here's what they can't Google: proper airflow solutions and system design. That's where your expertise becomes invaluable. I remember this one call where I walked into a beautiful 2-story colonial. The homeowner had 3 quotes already. All 3 contractors recommended the same 4-ton unit, all within $200 of each other. It's the classic race to the bottom scenario. But here's where it got interesting. He started asking about static pressure, duct sizing calculations, and airflow distribution. The other contractors had apparently mumbled something about the ducts look fine and moved on. But that's when I knew I had my opening. Here's a reality check. How many times have you lost a job because you couldn't explain the technical aspects with confidence? How often do you find yourself saying, "Trust me," instead of showing proof? That hesitation, that's costing you deals every single week. Listen closely, because this is where everything changes. While 90% of the contractors are just swapping boxes, you're gonna learn how to solve the real problems. Remember this: most callbacks are not equipment failures, they're distribution issues. Let me share that story I mentioned. I'm in a 3,200 square foot home with comfort complaints in 3 rooms. The previous contractor had installed a beautiful 4-ton system 18 months ago. Customer paid $12,000 for premium equipment that wasn't performing. Here's what the original installer missed, and what I caught in the first 10 minutes. The return air was just completely undersized. Original builder had installed a 14-inch return for what needed to be 20-inch returns. And the new high-efficiency equipment was starving for airflow. Instead of just diagnosing the problem, I explained it. I said, your system's like a marathon runner trying to breathe through a cocktail straw. All that expensive equipment upstairs can't do its job because it's not getting enough air to work with. That conversation led to a complete duct renovation, zoning system, and air quality package. Total project was $20,000. Why? Because I could explain the problem in terms they understood and show them exactly why their investment would solve it. When you demonstrate deep understanding of airflow dynamics, customers stop questioning you about other recommendations. Suddenly, that premium thermostat, the air purification system, the maintenance agreement, everything becomes easier to sell because you've established some technical authority. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time to be an engineer. Good news, you need to understand enough to have confident conversations about what makes systems work properly. Let's break down the essentials. I'm gonna talk about the 4 pillars of duct design mastery. First one, understanding static pressure. Think of static pressure like blood pressure for your HVAC system. Just like high blood pressure stresses your heart, high static pressure kills equipment efficiency and lifespan. I carry a digital manometer on every call, not because I'm showing off, but because numbers don't lie. Normal residential total external static pressure should be under 1/2 inch of water column. When I find systems running at 0.8 or higher, that's my opening to discuss duct improvements. But here's the key: I don't just quote the numbers, I explain what they mean. Second pillar, airflow distribution principles. You see, every room needs the right amount of conditioned air to maintain comfort. It sounds simple, right? But most installations treat every room like it's the same size with the same load. That's why you get hot and cold spots. I've developed a simple room-by-room assessment that takes maybe 10 minutes. I measure supply register sizes, count the return grills, and note obvious airflow restrictions. This visual inspection gives me everything I need to identify distribution problems before I do a complete redesign. Number 3, return air strategy. Here's something that will blow your mind. Most comfort complaints stem from inadequate return air, not supply air problems. Think about it logically. If you can't get the air back to the equipment, how can it condition and redistribute it effectively? I always look for the classic mistakes: a single return for multiple floors, undersized return grills, maybe returns blocked by furniture or design features. These are easy wins that demonstrate your expertise without requiring major system modifications. And of course, pillar number 4, duct sealing and insulation. Energy Star says the average home loses about 20 to 30% of conditioned air through duct leakage. That's like leaving your windows open, maybe not all the way, but year round. When I can show customers exactly where their money is literally leaking out of their ducts, the conversation shifts from, do I need this? To, how quickly can you fix it? Now let's turn that knowledge into sales. Here's where the magic happens. Instead of saying, your ductwork has high static pressure, try this. Your system is like trying to breathe through a straw. Watch how customers lean in when you explain complex issues this way. I like to use what I call the translation strategy. I've developed simple analogies for every common duct problem. So like high static pressure would be breathing through a straw, right? Poor return air might be trying to empty a bathtub with the drain half closed. If I have leaky ducts, heating or cooling the outdoors. If they're undersized supply ducts, I'm trying to fill a swimming pool with a garden hose. See what I'm saying? I don't just tell customers about problems, I show them. Pull out the smartphone flashlight and peer into return grills. Use a tissue to demonstrate poor airflow at supply registers. And I love to take infrared photos of duct leakage in unconditioned spaces. That visual proof eliminates skepticism. When they can see the problem, they understand the solution. You should definitely have the value building conversation. For example, Mr. Johnson, just replacing your equipment is like putting a race car engine in a car with flat tires. You'll get some improvement, but you'll never realize the full potential of your investment. Here's how we can optimize your entire system. Of course, you want to try to handle objections like a pro. When a customer says, the other guy says the ducts are fine, here's your moment to shine. Pull out that digital manometer, show them the real measurements, and watch the conversation shift from, do I need this, to when can you start? Maybe you need to have the evidence-based response. For example, I understand their assessment. Let me show you what I'm measuring here. Then demonstrate the diagnostic process. Most contractors don't carry diagnostic tools beyond basic electrical meters. When you pull out manometers, airflow hoods, infrared cameras, you're operating on a different professional level. Or maybe you should try the competitive differentiation. For example, here's the difference between what I do and what most other contractors do. They look at ducts and make visual assessments. I measure actual performance and compare it to engineering standards. Which approach do you think gives you more accurate information about your system's condition? Or you could try the long-term relationship building. For example, my reputation depends on solving your comfort problems permanently, not just selling you equipment. That means addressing the entire system, not just the pieces that are easy to replace. And then of course, the real-world application strategy. Let me give you a systematic approach for your next sales call. First, always carry basic diagnostic tools. The manometer, something to measure airflow, a flashlight, and an IR camera that you can use with your phone. All these tools cost less than $500, but position you as an expert, not just the salesperson. Second, develop your standard assessment routine. I spend 15 minutes on every call doing basic system diagnostics, as long as the system's still running, even if they only called for a quote. This diagnostic time frequently uncovers issues that justify comprehensive solutions instead of simple replacements. Third, document everything visually. Take photos of undersized returns, damaged ducts, poor installations. These images become powerful sales tools when you're explaining recommendations. All right, let's wrap this up with a challenge. Over the next 30 days, I want you to master just one duct design principle. Start incorporating it into every sales call and document what happens to your close rates. I'm really hoping you're gonna see a difference. If this video helped you think differently about HVAC sales, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that turns technical knowledge into sales success. Maybe drop a comment below with your biggest duct design discovery. Let's learn from each other. Remember, in a world where everyone's selling boxes, your technical knowledge is your competitive edge. Make it count. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.